Ms. Mawjuda has written rising tone. You mean general statement for rising tone, Ms. Mawjuda?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bunge أنا يعني Tesol neydi? Webinar diye yazdım.
Yep, our time is over, dear teachers. And thank you. Your answers are coming. Rising tone, general questions to express surprise. Falling tone, command statements. Great. Mr. Donna? Now we can see if your thoughts or answers that you have already written in the chat true or not. But in any ways, it's a practice. Yeah, we have rising tone in general questions and emotional sentences that we express using our emotions, such as surprise, disbelief, and many more. And moreover, alternative questions. For example, did you see your friend? You can like feel that the last word friend is pronounced with a rising tone. And falling tone we have in statements, commands, and WH questions. Like the sentence falls, the intonation falls coming to the end of the sentence, like, how's your brother? What are you doing? All WH questions. Now, just for yourself, try to make sentences in your mind and pay attention how you pronounce these sentences with rising or falling tone. And that helps. While I move to the next question. Here is a question, dear teachers. When teaching intonation, should we have one lesson allocated for that? Like, should we have, of course, we have different students. We have ESB, we have teachers like whom we prepare to teach English. We have business English students, and just to all of them, like it doesn't matter, right, to know the intonation type, but think about it. When teaching intonation, should we have one lesson for that, or should we teach them in other way? Do you have any suggestions for that? You can type your answers in the chat, or you can simply unmute yourself and give your opinion. Okay, then let's go on. When teaching intonation, we better link teaching intonation into teaching grammar. Like we don't have to have one separate lesson into teaching intonation, as we have different students with different backgrounds and different intentions to learn English. And allocating one whole lesson could be a waste of time to some of them, unless you are teaching future English teachers. For example, business English students, they don't have to know like everything about it or having one lesson for that. But when you introduce grammar, like types of sentences, declarative, imperative, general questions, specific questions, you can mention in what way, yeah, they have to give an intonation to those sentences, or what intonation they should end these sentences. This could be the logical way to approach. And when you are teaching, we can have two main techniques of demonstrating falling and rising tone. You can use your gestures and your hand movements, and you can use drawings and arrows on your blackboard when you introduce these types of intonations. And moreover, when you give such sentences, you can ask your students to draw arrows on the sentence to practice, to see that they can remember the type of intonation in a right way or no. They have to draw arrows up and down to show that right type of intonation. And these sentences can be given as a handout, or you can dictate the sentence, they write down, and then they're gonna point what kind of intonation the sentence has. Moreover, you can give dialects, such dialects, songs, texts, movie scripts. Your students will be given time to read, to listen, to watch, and underline to find out the right type of intonation in them. This is another activity, dear teachers, to practice intonation after you introduce a particular type of it. Great. We, dear teachers, are done with intonation here. Let's make a conclusion that to this we have two types of intonation, rising and falling tone. And we have seen in what kind of sentences we have rising and falling intonation. Now it's time to move stress, which is the next type of section. This is the next section in teaching intonation. Well, stress is not stress like we have in everyday life and we are under stress. It is the way how we pronounce the word, right? The emphasis that we put on a word to make it higher or more noticeable than the rest part of the syllable or than the rest part of the words in our sentence. And we have two types of stress. We have word stress and we have sentence stress. And when we talk about word stress, we should know what kind of words are stressed and what not stressed. Mostly nouns, main verbs, adjectives, possessive pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, adverbs, and interrogatives are stressed. But we have functional words which are not stressed. And these are the words mostly, they don't have any meaning out of context. When they are not inside context, they don't mean anything. And they are articles, auxiliary verbs, personal pronouns, possessive adjectives, demonstrative adjectives, prepositions, and conjunctions. They can mean something with parts of speech. That's why they are not stressed at all. That is why we don't pronounce ed in past simple, like not play it, it should be played, because ed is functional word. It is suffix that comes at the end of the word. It's grammatical suffix. Yeah, if you come from morphological perspective, that's why it's not stressed as it is function word. And going on about word stress, we can have stress in different syllable of the word. We can have it at the beginning, in the middle, or in the end. And if we want to generalize, we can say that nouns mostly have stress on the first syllable, and verbs have stress in the end most of the time, but we can have exceptions with the words which don't belong to originally to English language but borrowed from other languages such as French or Greek. Look at these examples. Contract, noun, contract, verb. Refuse, noun, refuse, verb. Insult, noun, insult, verb. And leaning on what kind of parts of speech we have, if we have noun or if we have adverb or adjective, the pronunciation can be different, although we have the same spelling. Look at the word in the chat. And could you tell me what kind of pronunciation it has if it is verb and if it is noun? Mostly nouns and adjectives have the same type of pronunciation compared to verbs. So the stress is placed at the same when the word is noun and adjective. So do you have any ideas on it, dear teachers? This word in the chat as verb and noun. Okay. If no ideas, then I will give myself. When this word, okay, we have suggestion from Michelle Soda. considerate, considerate. Yep, thank you very much for your answers, Michelle Soda, Mr. Donna, and Mr. Dora. You are right, yeah. When it is verb, the stress goes in the end and it is pronounced as considerate. But when it is adjective or noun, it's pronounced as considerate as a stress in the initial syllable. And this ate pronounced differently when it is noun and when it is verb, like in graduate and graduate. Graduate verb, graduate, noun and adjective. Thank you very much. And using stress in order to identify meaning. The stress can identify meaning, and the same sentence can give different sense when the stress is put in different words. Like, look at the same word, the same sentence, 1 to 3, 3 ways of using stress in different words. In the first sentence, stress is in burnout, like, is burnout going to France in July? No, Zoe is. We want to focus on who is going there, and that's why we place the stress in burnout. Or what if we place stress in the place, and we want to know where they are going? Like, is Bernard going to France in July? No, he's going to Belgium. And it can be different leaning on what we want to know, or about whom, about what. Like this. One sentence, different meaning. Like, are you going to eat that? It's meaning that means it's too big or it's too disgusting, that it's not something edible. Or are you going to eat that? I'm not sure it's really food. It's not food, that you can't eat that. Or are you going to eat that? It's mine, it's not yours. Or are you going to eat that? Meaning that the person is just sitting, they are not eating, and you want to encourage that person to come to an action. So now we try to consider different ways of placing stress in different words and to get different meaning with the same sentence. Now look at this word, look at this sentence. Michael wanted to buy the red shirt, and try to place a stress in shirt, buy, Michael, red, and want. And let's identify together what kind of meaning we get when we place a stress in different words. This activity can be done orally, dear teachers, or you can see type as well. The first one has been given, that Michael wants to buy the red shirt, not another kind of shirt. What about the second? Michael wanted to buy the red shirt. How can we explain the sense here?
That Michael, can I answer? Like that Michael just want to buy, not just like look or something like that, try, but buy. So the action can be seen there.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Michelle Zoda. What if we put stress on Michael? Michael wanted to buy the red shirt.
That this is exactly Michael wanted, not Shahzada wanted. Michael wanted.
Exactly. Michael wanted to buy the red shirt.
Oh, just here, not the another color, but red.
Yeah, not black, yeah. So Michael wanted to buy the red shirt, but
not other color, not blue shirt.
any other ideas?
That this action was like in the past, like he wanted, like, and he changed his mind, like his action.
Exactly. Thank you very much. You're right. Yeah, let's go on working with stress and how to introduce stress to our students and how to let them practice. So you can prepare such tables with words and you can ask them to place into the right place. You should have word table. You can imagine how it is done. Yeah, word table, and you can take all the words in the table and your students should take the word into the right column. If the stress is in the third syllable, they should take in the first table. If the stress on the second syllable, they should take to the second syllable. You can prepare such activity to consolidate their awareness of stress. Or you can play stand up and sit down game. You can write a word on the board that your students are aware or that you have talked with your students about that. And you ask your students to stand up if their syllable is stressed. So every student will be responsible for a syllable in the word, and they should stand up if their word has stress on it. So you need to write down like 5 or 6 words on the whiteboard, and all of them should have the same syllables. And your students stand in a line, and you ask them to stand up if the stress is in that syllable that they are responsible. And you can play this game while they are sitting, that they have to simply raise their hands. Moreover, you can give your students colored cards and ask them to raise cards or hands. Yeah, great. Now, dear teachers, we've finished about stress, and we can conclude that we have sentence stress and word stress. And we mentioned the role of stress in identifying the meaning of the sentence, and the roles of stress in identifying parts of speech and how it can make the pronunciation different. Let's move to sound. Sounds is the biggest part of teaching pronunciation because, well, you can scatter teaching intonation to grammar, and in 5 or 6 lessons, you can be done with intonation. And stress can go on all the way, but it's not as complicated as teaching sounds. Because in teaching sounds, the lesson plan, what you want to teach can be different leaning on your student's age. Yeah, generally in English, we have 44 sounds, 24 of them consonants, 12 vowels, and 8 diphthongs, right? And we should here in this place highlight the difference between letters and sounds, and all students also should know them. Sounds and letters. In a word, we can have many letters, but sound can differentiate from that, right? We can have more letters, but fewer sounds. And this is a phonemic chart representing 44 sounds. And like how to teach these 44 sounds to our students and how to let them know in what way or like what kind of words they come. So to do that, we need our students to be aware of organs of speech, because every sound, especially vowels, are classified according to their place of articulation and manner of articulation. We can have sounds alveolar, dental, bilabial, labiodental, post-alveolar, palatal, velar, and glottal sounds. Glottal, I'm not sure that you're aware of this. You can be, of course, but glottal sound is really famous because we are aware of this glottal stop, which is famous in Cockney accent. As every sound is classified according to place of articulation, we should be aware of the rest of the others as well. So according to place of articulation, we have these sounds, bilabial sounds, which are produced by using our lips, b, p, m, w. So w, w is bilabial sound. However, letter v is not bilabial. So let's see. It is labiodental, as you see, v, v. But however, w, bilabial. And don't forget that I'm not talking about letters here, just sounds. That's why I'm not reading them as B, P, M. I'm reading them as sounds. And we have dental alveolar sounds, th, d, k, n, s, l, r. And I don't want to read, of course, all the sounds to make you be bored. You can have a look at them yourself if you make a screenshot of the page, or later on we are going to upload this explanation to our YouTube channel. You can see this later on. And we have classification of sounds according to manner of articulation. So the way we articulate, and the sound that is coming from our lung experiences stops at some part of our speech organs. They stop at some point. That's why we call them in this way. We have plosives and stops. A from lungs stops a very short point at somewhere, and we have sounds b, p, t, d, k, g. We have nasal sounds that stops in our nose. We have fricatives, affricatives, roller sound, laterals, and semi-vowels. And interestingly, sound Y and W are semi-vowels. That's why sound Y makes it difficult for our learners, to choose A or N in front of it. Also, like letter Y and sound Y, sound like they are the same, but however, we choose the article leaning on sound, not leaning on letter. And let's look at the voice level. We can differentiate sounds not only according to their place of articulation, manner of articulation, but also the voice level. We have voiced and unvoiced sounds. Now, looking at these pairs, like p, b, t, d, you maybe remember your Uzbek or Russian language, because we do have voiced and unvoiced sounds in these languages as well, like in English. Now you can make a connection and comparison. We have monophthongs as well among that 44 sounds that we have seen. And monophthongs are the sounds that make one sound, although they consist of different letters. As I said, dear teachers, we might have more letters, but fewer sounds. Like here, two letters making one sound, long E. That's why we are not taking letters into account, but sounds, and we have just one sound, and then we call them monophthongs. And we have diphthongs. We have 8 diphthongs in English. They are made up of 2 vowel sounds which glide from one to another. Gliding, it means they slide slowly or very quickly that we don't notice, and they seem like one sound, but however we have 2 sounds gliding one from the other. And we have minimal pairs as well. We should know about them in order to differentiate the words that can be different from one another with just one sound. One sound differentiates these 2 pairs. That's why they seem like the same word. And if you make slight slip on the pronunciation, then it's wrong. Like slip, sleep, bat, bed, caught, caught, red, raid, cap, cup. You see? And if you make slight slip, then your listener understands you in a wrong way. And we have these minimal pairs in consonants and vowels, of course, as you see, and you can make interesting activity for your students using minimal pairs as well. And moreover, vowels are classified as short and long as well, leaning on where in our tongue we are pronouncing that very vowel, in the front, in central part, or back part. Then we have this classification. Moreover, they are close, open, open mid, and fully open, meaning that when we pronounce these vowels, we open our mouths in different way every time. Another important thing about sounds, homonyms, because sounds can have the same pronunciation, although they have different spelling. As you see, 8, pair, be, beat. Well, try to read them. They sound the same, although they have this. They have different pronunciation, and it is okay. But our students can give the question like, why? And we can also have the question like, should I teach all of this to my students? Should I teach my students like labial, labiodental, plosives, or should I teach my students diphthong, monophthong? We can have such question. Of course, the answer is we don't have to. Really, we don't have to. Our students don't have to know unless they are specialized in teaching English. As I said, pronunciation can be integrated to grammar and skills, reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills related to your topic and the theme. For example, when you are teaching grammar, we know that we have to introduce form, meaning, and pronunciation of any topic of grammar, right? And sometimes we can make a connection to grammatical topic. For example, when we talked about intonation, I mentioned that if we are teaching declarative sentence, we can talk about falling tone. Or if we are talking about alternative or general questions, we can introduce rising tone regarding pronunciation. So we can make connection, introducing form, meaning, and pronunciation. Sounds are included as well. Leaning on your grammatical topic, you can introduce some sounds. When you are introducing past simple, you can introduce these three sounds, it, te, and de. And you can say after what sounds we have these three pronunciation of ed in the past tense. In this way, you include teaching pronunciation into your grammar and skill-based lessons, that you don't have to have one whole lesson allocated for pronunciation. In what way we can work with sounds? You can give matching, contrasting activities. As you can see here, to differentiate sh and ch sound, tables are given. Of course, this table should stay empty. Then you can say the word to your students. They listen and they write in the correct column to the sh or ch. And you can make this activity with all the sounds, of course, that can be similar. And students can be asked to look for the different ways of pronouncing the same letter. We know that letter C pronounced as k and se, and you can give such tables, and your students should choose a word and put in the right table. Or you can find more of these words games, like you ask your students to find more words that give this sound, for example, and it can be modified to the topic or to the sound you want to introduce. You introduce lots of them, and as practice activity, you ask them to remember, you give some examples, and you ask them to remember the rest, like to, grew, school, through. You see, this sound is gained through the use of different letters. And your students practice this by trying to remember what you taught in presentation part of your lesson. Moreover, you can give hidden names game. Ask your students to find the mutual sound for every word in the line. They find the mutual sound in every line, and in the end, the three sounds make the name of the mother. You can prepare such games yourself easily. You select the words to the sound that you want to teach, and you put them in this line, and you want like a particular name or word to come out as a result. It's easy to compile such activities, right? You can ask your students to work with dialogues as well, and when they are working with dialogues, you will have a chance to see not only the stress but intonation, yeah, stress and single sounds. I introduced what the minimal pairs are, and you can make activity using minimal pairs as well. You ask your students to listen to the words that are similar to each other, and they write the correct version. You introduce, first of all, the minimal pairs beforehand, and then you read or you use a ready-made recording, and your students should write whatever word they hear with the right pronunciation, with the right spelling. And as an extension, you can use rhymes and tongue twisters as well. And what about introducing sounds to younger learners? So, dear teachers, all activities I have given above can be really suitable for adults, yeah? But however, to younger learners, That can also be difficult. Let's say if you are the teacher who work at primary school or secondary school, like digesting those information can be difficult for your learners. But however, if you work at university level, or if you have students who are specialized in teaching English, you can, like, of course, give all the information. You might be the teachers who lecture about phonetics and phonics, right? And then you can give all of the information about, but if you have younger learners, then I greatly suggest using these 3 sets, set 1, set 2, and set 3. Now here you can see all different sounds in English. They are not letters. What you can see on the screen, they are sounds. Set 1 is really easy, not considering TH, of course, but they are important. Even letter S makes sound S and Z. That's why we should introduce and say when it gives S sound and when it gives Z sound. And set 2 and set 3 get more and more complicated. And let's see in what way we can teach these suggested sets. We have school teachers. If you are a school teacher, put plus so that I know how many school teachers we have. I believe that this information that you are getting now will be really handy to organize your pronunciation lessons. 1 school teacher. Claire Marie. 2, 3. Okay, for now 3 school teachers. This set that you see on the screen, called read, write, including phonics set, meaning that while introducing sounds, you help your students to learn reading and writing skills as well, especially if you teach in primary level. These sounds, the 3 sets, as you see, cannot be told to your students as diphthongs, monophthongs, because it's really difficult for them. But you can introduce these 3 sets one by one as blends, digraphs, and trigraphs. When you introduce them as blends, you say them, 2 consonants mostly coming together, keeping their own sounds. And you should here say the importance of sounds and letter differentiation. And digraphs are more interesting because 2 sounds getting together to make 1 new sounds. And digraphs are called 2 best friends as well. You see, in our language, we have letter ch, but in English, we don't. In English, it exists as sound, as ch is sound, not the letter, right? That's why C and H together making 1 sound, ch. Or look here, double O. In these 2, it has 2 different pronunciation. First, it is like cook. Second, moon. Second, double O gives longer pronunciation. And we also have digraphs among these 3 sets. And digraphs are 3 sounds, both consonants and vowels, getting together and making 1 new sound. Imagine 3 letters making 1 sound. And they are called 3 best friends as well. So if you don't want to say the terms like trigraphs, digraphs, you can say that 2 best friends making 1 sound, 3 best friends making 1 sound to your younger learners. Like I is in right. Look, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. But let's see how many sounds we have. Right, R, I, T. Just 3 sounds we have. Although we have 5 letters, we have 3 sounds. So ear, as in here. Air is as in chair. And let's see how many sounds we have. Ch, air. Just 2 sounds, but letters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. 5 letters, just 2 sounds. Ch is digraph, air is trigraph. And as I said, the differentiation of letters and sounds important to be mentioned every time when you introduce digraphs and trigraphs. Oh my God, I opened the secret. How many letters and sounds can you see in this word? How many letters and how many sounds?
5 letters, 3 sounds.
How many letters?
5 letters, 3 sounds.
Exactly, you're right. Yeah,
3 sounds.
yeah. We have 3 sounds and 5 letters. H is digraph, 2 letters making 1 sound. E also digraph, 2 letters making 1 long E. Is 1 single sound. And we have lots of words like that. And look, these sets, 3 sets. I want to write how you can find these sets. I want to tell you how you can find these sets on the internet easily. They are called read, write, including phonics. If you search on the internet in this way, you can find lots of materials and information about these sounds, dear teachers, school teachers, and it will be really helpful. Not only school teachers, if you want to teach English to your own children, younger children, or if you work at an education center, you can use these sets to introduce sounds one by one. You will be choosing sounds one by one, like one sound can be given in one lesson, you introduce them, and over time you have a revision to consolidate those sounds. And you don't have to take all of these sounds into account. Your students might know already some of them. And if you think so, start with set 2 or start with set 3 or have a selective choice. Take some sounds from set 1, 2, and 3 and introduce and tell what kind of sound your students should have when they see this word. Or look, what to do with the sounds with the same spelling but different pronunciation. Have a look at sound set 2 and look at this letter OW. And have a look at set 3. And in set 3 as well, we have OW. Can you see? In 2 places, we have OW. But these 2 gives different sound, teachers. Or look at this double O and this double O. They have different sounds. And what should you do so that your students would be able to differentiate them, pronounce them in the right way when they have to read the words with these very sounds? I want to give you a suggestion with this problem. So you will pick a digraph. Of course, you should introduce every single of them one by one, but you use rhymes. You introduce every of them with rhymes. You introduce the sound orally with rhyme. Here it's not clearly visible, but it says snow. But here in the set sound 3, it says cow, brown cow. You see? And when they ask, dear teacher, how to pronounce this word? And when they see the word clown, you say, it's pronounced as ow in cow. And they say, okay. And they say clown. So reach that level before you should introduce these steps. Introduce the sound orally, ask them to repeat after you, that very sound, ow, ow. And show lots of examples as you see on the screen. Ow, now, pow, wow, cow, clown, gown, growl, howl, frown. One by one, of course. And then practice with picture and word matching. You can cut this into 2 and you can ask them to match pictures into words. And while matching as well, they remember how you pronounce them and they consolidate their understanding in their mind. You can ask them watch and write tasks. You put them video. There are lots of videos. Simply write the name of sound and then add the word sound. O sound. If you want, add set as well, set number as well. O set 1, O set 2, or O set 3. And you will get lots of videos explaining these very sounds. Or you can have sound matching activity as well. Like this, they have to match the pictures into the sounds. Actually, they are the same. You can cut this or prepare something like this or download. And the activities that you see on the screen are taken from the website Twinkle. I forgot to acknowledge the site here. You can use this website, paid version, of course, to gain all of these handouts. There is a question, what about triphthongs, for example, fire, tire, hour? Yes, triphthongs, diphthongs, and monophthongs are for higher level students because you should show the transcript to introduce them. But blends, digraphs, and trigraphs can be explained to younger learners without showing the transcript, you know, the phonemic expression, phonemic presentation of that sound. Using rhymes and pictures and words, that's a differentiation. But of course, they are the same thing. And as I said, here you can use board games as well, board games to practice. And in the very end, you can ask your students to make sentences with the words that they can remember. And board games. I want to show board games to practice sounds. Board games are used as a practice activity after you introduce and present that very sound, and you give lots of examples, and then you can give this board game. To play this board game, you need to download the board game, or you can make your own board game. Mostly 10 to 15 minutes would be enough, and your students sit in pairs of 2. And the objective is to practice sound after the presentation part. Imagine you introduce that ow sound with cow, and you want them to practice and learn many more words with that. And you prepare the board game, and you need the dice as well, and you need 2 different color counters because 2 students play the game, and they start from here. They roll the dice. Each student has number 3. They move 3 times, 1 to 3. They stop here and they read the word, those. And you see, and if they are pronouncing in a right way or not right way, you take note and you provide feedback in any way you like. If you want on time, if you want after the lesson, yeah. And they go on like this until they reach finish. They roll the dice, make their move, read the word, and next person doing it. But if you don't have dice or color counters, you can make your own. If you type on the internet dice, and you can get such forms in a Word file, PDF, or picture form, you can print and make your own dice. And counters can easily be done in Word as well, or PowerPoint as well. You make a circle, give a color, print and cut, and your students put in any number they have got from the dice rolling. Yeah. This way, you will introduce the words that come with these very sounds, and finally they will be able to differentiate in what way, in what words they have to read in what way. You know, it takes time, but however, to younger learners, this way of introducing is better than telling them about trigraphs and like see here, monophthongs and diphthongs. Like, I guess I have to go pick a lot. Yeah, younger learners have a difficulty in understanding these very signs or phonemic charts, right? These sounds are sound representation in a phonemic way from phonetic letter chart. And we have this way of appearance of letters are called, yeah, diphthongs, monophthongs, and triphthongs. But the ones I have shown in the end that I said for younger learners, they are blends, digraphs, and trigraphs. And we don't have to show their phonemic presentation in this way. These are phonemic letters, not alphabet letters, right? Great. Now Q&A section, dear teachers. I know we have had a lot, like in 1 hour, but I want to make a quick conclusion. You think of your questions, and I want to make a quick conclusion. Today we talked about stress, intonation, and sounds. And about sounds, we have seen 44 sounds for adults and for younger learners. and we have seen in what ways we can give them. Yeah, we can make them practice different activities to practice them. And I don't know how many of you have taken notes as I asked at the beginning of presentation, but if you have taken notes, I'm going to identify the owner of the most coherent notes, and I'm going to give the phonics tool set for that teacher when I go to Uzbekistan, because currently I'm not based in Uzbekistan, but when I go there, I want to bring that teacher to the owner of the most coherent note, the phonics tool set. And what it includes itself. It includes like phonetic games, board games, original board games, dice, counters, and big dice, like 5 or 6 big dices with sounds written around it. You roll, and whatever sounds you have, your student should pronounce that very sound. So generally, phonetic set. I want to give to that teacher who has taken notes and who will send me that note. Yeah, Claire Marie, nice. Twinkle is amazing. I really love Twinkle, Tishangilanas. Now let's have a Q&A section. Maybe you already formulated your questions. We have how many minutes? We have 5 minutes to quickly have this Q&A section. Otherwise, we say goodbye to each other, dear teachers. Yeah. I don't see any questions to be given. I wish you a wonderful evening and afternoon, leaning on where you are. I will be waiting your notes eagerly. Thank you for coming, dear teachers.
Thank you for you too. For great and useful information.
I'm greatly happy if you got at least one new information.
We got a lot of information. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Все, не видно переживания. Тишина. Вон туда, вон туда.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.